All right, a very good afternoon to you. It's time for Newsbeat, and we're going to give you all the updates in the news here across the country. My name is Ania Fampofu. We'll take a look at the headlines of the stories coming up shortly. Story today, Finance Minister Ken Ofori says to deliver the 2022 mid-year budget review at 1 p.m. in Parliament. We're bringing you an extensive coverage from Parliament and a comprehensive expert analysis and a tour of the region. Some unemployed nurse assistant, preventive and nurse assistant clinicals 2019 batch are picketing over their dire predicaments. We'll bring you details of that as well. And the first story, Finance Minister Ken Ofori will, in an hour from now, present the 2022 mid-year budget review in Parliament. Ofori was scheduled to deliver the address on Wednesday, July 13, but the date was changed due to the negotiations between government and the International Monetary Fund, IMF. Now, the postponement was to allow the government to possibly make some recommendations to the budget. Ahead of the presentation, some unemployed nurse assistant preventive and nurse assistant clinicals 2019 batch are picketing over the concerns. Let's hear from them now.
Concern NAP and NAC. The NAC is nurse assistant clinicals and the NAP is the nurse assistant preventive. We are for 2019 batch. We have completed school for 3 good years now. We have assessed the portal and the Ministry of Finance have issued clearance to us. Now we are still in the house. Meanwhile, they've posted our colleagues who were the degrees and then the diplomas. We are still in the house. When we go to the Ministry of Health, they always tell our leaders that they will post us today, tomorrow, next month, or next 2 months, you'll be at post. All these tends to be lies, and it has failed. So we are tired of the reassurances, the reassurance that they are giving to us. It is uncountable. We cannot count it. Now we are fed up and we don't want to go to more. So today we are here as we've heard that they are coming to read the budget. We beg the Ministry of Finance that we want to remind him that we are still in the house and they shouldn't render us useless. No, we are tired of them, please.
Pass the licential exams. There will be a time that the MOH will give you access the portal. We've accessed the portal. We access it with the degree and the diploma nurses. Now the degree and the diploma nurses are working, and we, the NAP and NAC, are still at home. Every day they will give us reassurance, especially when you go to the Ministry of Health. Every day, tomorrow we will go, today, next week, this month. We are tired of it. And so now we can't sit at home again. The burden on our parents are too much for them to bear, because we have siblings that they are also taking care of. So if we have not been posted and we are still at home and they are taking care of all of us, it's not easy in the house. So we are pleading with the government, with the Ministry of Health, with the help of Minister of Finance, to release our data so that August we can also start work. We can be on our various facilities to start work and earn something to help our family.
More pressure on government. Among other things, the Finance Minister is expected to provide information on how revenue and expenditure had performed in the first half of the year and the country's current budget deficit figures. Now, within the government official reaching out to International Monetary Fund, IMF, for support, the minister is also expected to make his first official comments on the decision after publicly stating that the country would not go to the IMF. Now, let's cross over to Parliament and give you some details.
Postponed to today to allow government finish an engagement with IMF officials. Let me straight ahead get the thoughts of the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central, Honorable Ibrahim Mohammed Murtala, on his expectations ahead of the Finance Minister's delivery in Parliament. Honorable, how upbeat are you about today's engagement with the Finance Minister?
Well, if you say upbeat, I don't know what you mean, frankly speaking. the fact that he was supposed to have executed this constitutional responsibility as also captured in the Public Financial Management Act, which puts an incumbent, a responsibility on him to appear before Parliament to present the mid-year budget, that he failed in doing that at least about 2 times. And the fact that today he was supposed to have appeared before this House at 10 o'clock, and once again he failed in doing that. We are being told that he will be appearing before this House at 1 o'clock. The information I picked is that the Speaker was not even officially informed. The Speaker got to know about this postponement of time from 10 o'clock to 1 o'clock through social media. Clearly, it tells you that the center is no longer holding. I don't expect anything meaningful from him. His usual self, he's coming to be condescending. He's coming to avoid being honest and transparent to the people of this country. And I thought that this should be the last time the Minister for Finance and any minister wanting to be dishonest to the people of this country. The challenges confronting us are challenges that are staring us in our faces. There is a proverb in Dagbani that whether the tortoise has expanded in size or reduced in size, you cannot determine that except in its shell. But with the elephant, once the elephant expands, you know. Once the elephant reduces in size, you know. So that is what the people of this country would expect from him. But I can bet my last penny is not going to be so. One thing that one can bet his last penny on, he's coming to quote the Bible. Once again, mocking God, because clearly you cannot be quoting the Bible and telling the people of this country have big truth and sometimes outright lies. So we expect him to come and tell us the truth. Look, the IMF, negotiations has not ended yet. They have had some discussions, and that is why they were rushing for Parliament to approve the kinds of loan, the $750 million loan, and also the $250, which has not been approved yet. We demonstrated to the people of this country that at any point in time we are willing to assist in any form or shape so that this country will not collapse. But it is very clear. What is he going to tell us about jobs creation? What is he going to tell us about stabilizing the city? Because as of today, the city is 8 cities, 13 pesos this morning. What is he going to tell us about the fuel increases? He's once again not going to admit that the reason why there is huge, increases in fuel prices under this government is because of the tax buildup, taxes that they condemned. What is he going to tell us about the challenges facing us? And I can tell you, he will blame the inept, the incompetence on Ukraine-Russia conflict. He will blame the recklessness and the mismanagement of this economy on COVID. He will blame the incompetence, the disaster that is at hand on everything except themselves.
Honorable, is your side not overly downplaying the effects of the COVID situation and the Russia-Ukraine war on our economy?
Ghana was not the only country that was hit by COVID. Our neighbors, COVID affected them. By the way, they managed even COVID than us. The number of people died in Ghana was several miles higher than that of Ivory Coast, than that of Burkina. So when I hear government and our science of this government says that we manage the COVID very well, yet we lost more lives than those countries. So I'm saying that those countries, none of them went to the IMF for $3 billion loan. None of them got about $903 million from the World Bank. None of them dipped their hands into all manner of funds. You have the Heritage Fund, you have the Stabilization Fund. They dipped their hands. These were funds established by President Mahama. None of them asked their central bank to dole out 10 billion, which ended up to be over 20 billion for the purposes of COVID. By the way, we have been told that the reason why we are having these challenges is because government gave us free water and free lights. And I expect journalists like you to be asking questions. If you claim you gave us free water, free electricity, how come we are being made to pay for them? We are paying for the electricity, we are paying for the lights. They haven't told us how much we have paid so far. Look, not every Ghanaian benefited the free electricity. But those who didn't even benefit from the free electricity are paying for it.
The government says it wants to share the burden.
No, it's not about sharing the burden. We were told it was free. Now that we are being asked to pay, why do they continuously insult us by saying that they gave us free water and free electricity? They have no moral right to insult us any longer. We need to know the COVID levies that we are paying. How much have we paid so far? Does that suffice the free water and free electricity they gave us? If not, that would be extortion.
All right, so
what I expect from this minister, if I were him, I would have concluded my mid-year budget review by using it as an opportunity to announce to the people of this country and the global community that I am resigning. If he has principles, I think that he should resign. He has failed in every sector of the economy where he is put directly in charge, and the vice president. So if I were him, I would have used this opportunity to say that in conclusion, I am resigning as the Minister for Finance.
Why your side has triggered a vote of censure procedure to get the finance minister out of office?
I've heard some of them who say that that we cannot achieve the purpose for which the vote of censure is being triggered. Yes, we understand. Clearly, they are telling us that they are not going to vote in support of it. But one thing that will be remembered as minority, that when people who were given the responsibility to manage this economy succeeded in destroying it, we stood up. We spoke against it and we demanded that the person be removed. I mean, clearly, we should be happy that this minister is messing up the economy by his conduct. But it is not just about politics. It is about the safety of our finances. It's about this country. We feel that we can no longer allow him to continue on that trajectory. And that I should be happy that, yes, he's messing up. People are angry. But we should think beyond just politics. And that is why we think that if this president cannot fire him, then we should trigger the processes of ensuring that he's removed from office.
Thank you very much, Honorable Mohammed Mutala, the Member of Parliament for Tamale Central. I will now proceed to try and get some other MPs to share their thoughts on their expectations ahead of the Finance Minister's presentation in about an hour. So let me proceed and still get some of the Members of Parliament of this august house to get their reactions. I've also been joined by the Member of Parliament for the Sahanargu constituency in the Northern Region, Honorable A.B. Fuseni. Honorable, the government insists your side should also take part of the blame for getting Ghanaians to not to buy into the e-levy idea, and that explains why the turnover for government with regards to the money it targeted to realize for developmental purposes could not be realized.
My brother, who are they sacking in the evening and is greeting good night? Who told us that when we give them the mandate to steer the affairs of this state, they will put money in our pockets? Have we forgotten? Ghanaians, we don't forget. Was it not Nana Akufo-Addo and Dr. Bawumia who told us that if we give them the mandate, they will put money in our pockets? So who is putting money in your pocket and who is taking the money out of your pocket? E-levy, is it putting money in our pocket? E-levy is taking, you promise people you put money in their pockets and you come and you are taking the money out of their pockets. And you say we should do what to you?
So for you don't expect it?
In the first case, did we have to go to e-levy? We didn't have to get to e-levy. Because they have catastrophically mismanaged the economy. Okay? They have run the economy aground. That's why they have to go for e-levy.
They blamed it on external factors.
Which external factors? I'm just telling you, poor Burkina Faso, poor Burkina Faso here. Ghana, a net exporter of oil. Fuel prices are cheaper in Burkina Faso than it is in Ghana. How? Burkina Faso, they are even closer to Ukraine than Ghana. So if you are talking about Ukraine and others, who should feel the effects more? They are operating a single-digit regime, single-digit inflation in Burkina Faso. Cost of goods and services are cheaper in Burkina Faso than it is in Ghana. Life is better, more worthy of living in Burkina Faso than it is in Ghana. Meanwhile, Burkina Faso doesn't have 1/4 of the resources of Ghana. So why? So it boils down to cluelessness, incompetence, crass incompetence, and mismanagement of the economy. So clearly, for that time, in any civilized jurisdiction, he would have been pushed out if he refused to resign. He would have been kicked out long time ago. But we know that he's Nana Akufo-Addo's financial whiskey. He can't touch him. He's afraid of him. So he can't do anything to him. That's why there's a total mess.
Honorable, so
the economic management team, by the visionless and clueless Bawumia, they're all there. They don't know where to. They are just groping. You remember, even just as we speak, the Bank of Ghana, he came and told the finance committee that the Bank of Ghana's reserves have dropped catastrophically from 9 billion to 3 billion. And that tells us that the country is badly exposed. It means we just have a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks of import cover, and this country will collapse. What kind of government is this? And so what he's doing, I can tell you without any doubt, he's coming to make another final announcement.
So that is why your side should help government to steer us out of this economic challenge.
I think that this has been one of the most generous and magnanimous opposition. I am telling you, even last week, but for the edition of Ghanaians, we should have denied this government the $750 million that they sought, because they are wasting the country's resources. This is the most wasteful government in the history of our country. You give them money and you don't see where that money goes. Look at the government that has borrowed almost 280 billion Ghana cedis in 5.5 months. Where is the money? You look.
They have been touting their social intervention programs such as the 1D, 1F, and other, like-minded intervention programs that they believe it's working for Ghana.
The 1D, 1F were working. Will the prices of items be skyrocketing on a daily basis? Because that was supposed to be an import substitution measure where domestic industries will be helped to grow, to make sure that they take care of the imports that we bring in. What has happened? It has had a balloon. It has worsened. Tell me which of the 1D, 1F you can see is really working and producing results.
How about the free secondary education?
Yes, I'm just telling you that we have free education, but you know what is happening now. Even the schools, the students can get food to eat. Only last week they had to scatter this into the buffer stock to be able to get some small food for them. And many of the headmasters are complaining that they are going to be forced to close the schools because they don't have food.
We hear the supplies have been sent.
I'm just indicating to you that for it to reach a point where headmasters contemplate closing schools, should tell you that we are in a very desperate situation and it's not working.
So, Honorable, are you saying for you don't expect anything positive from this presentation?
I'm just telling you that what positive can the man tell us? When even going to engage IMF, he goes there without a program and is groping in the dark. And he himself admits that times are so bad that clearly they don't know the next move forward. And that without even a government that says that even if you don't pass $1 billion for us, the economy will collapse. They themselves said it. It's not us. So that tells you that we are in dire straits. We are in the doldrums. For the government to be relying on even just $1 billion to survive.
What can we do to come out of this problem we are?
I am just indicating to you that the finance minister should have gone long ago. He should have gone long ago.
You want nothing short of his resignation.
Tells you that Nana Akufo-Addo's vision is an eternal vision. Because he himself allowing such a finance minister to still continue to stay in office. When he cannot touch him because he's afraid of the finance minister.
What do you mean by he's afraid of him?
He's afraid of the finance minister. I'm telling you that the president is afraid of the finance minister.
He appointed him.
Because he said it's a thing. He has labeled him as financial wicked. He cannot. I'm sure that they know what is between them. That is why he cannot sack him for that.
Do you think there should be a reshuffle?
Mark my words. The president cannot, and I'm using the words cannot. He cannot sack him.
We are hearing of an imminent reshuffle.
Take my word. If he has to appoint the finance minister 10 times, you'll be appointed 10 times. He's afraid of him. He can't take him away. That is the word.
Your last word to Ghana.
Anybody with this legendary incompetence would not be been allowed to stay in office. He should have been long gone. Why is he still in office? In spite of all these things that have happened to us and the economy. Why is he still in office?
So what should Ghanaians be expecting? What should we be doing, to, as it were, ameliorate the suffering Ghanaians are going through?
Look, I think in the interim, Ghanaians, we have to resort to prayers for the Almighty to intervene until December 7th, we boot out this hopelessly uninspiring government. That is the only way out. The only way out, ultimately, is to throw out the government of Nana Akufo-Addo and bring in President John Dramani Mahama to come back and do the work that Ghanaians have done. I've always said that, you see, you don't appreciate the importance of your buttocks until there's a boil on it.
Thank you very much.
When President Mahama was there, we took it together. Today, we are making the quotas, and Ghanaians are the better judges.
We've also now been joined by the Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Honorable Habib Idrisu, to give us an overview of what to expect from the Finance Minister when he walks into the chamber in an hour's time. Honorable, tell us what should we be expecting today?
Yes, the minister will come under a statement on the mid-year budget. Many are of the view that the minister is supposed to come under a motion where he will be expecting federal revenue or expenditure. I think the minister wouldn't be doing so. He will come and give us a statement where we are at the moment. The IMF that government have enrolled up into the program. What are the expectations? What are people thinking? The speculation that is going on, our achievement on the road sector. The e-levy that has not been able to generate a lot of revenue that should be able to look like. And I think that the minister should be able to touch on the road tolls. That is my own opinion, because all over the world there is nowhere I have seen that roads are being used for free without paying any toll. Even though the government projection was to be able to get enough revenue from the e-levy, and now that the e-levy has not been able to generate such revenue, I think it is prudent for government to bring back the road toll so that it can also generate a bit of revenue so that we'll be able to construct some of our roads. And I also expect that the government should be able to tell us something about the youth start, because it is something that is going to help the young Ghanaians, entrepreneurs who will be able to establish, especially those who are just leaving schools. If you are not able to get a job and the youth status roll on, it is something that's going to help. And many people are of the view that when we go to IMF, it is something that is going to affect the economy. What people fail to realize is that when MPP won election in 2016, there was already an IMF program that was in place. It was the same finance minister who helped and for us to be able to come out of the IMF. So if MPP is going back out of IMF, we should be able to understand it's the same government that took us out of IMF, and we know exactly what to do.
The minority is saying he should resign because he's the one who should take responsibility for the mess.
I don't think the finance minister should resign, with all due respect, because if you look at when he was appointed as the minister responsible for finance in 2017, he was able to move the economy on a very positive note. We saw economic growth around 7.9%. We saw inflation depreciating. We see all the indicators, microeconomic indicators, looking very good. The outlook was very positive. And then when COVID set in, look, the debt sustainability was a problem. Debt that was created by the NDC. In fact, the banking sector cleanup alone cost government about some 25 billion Ghana cedi. You look at the energy, agreement, all the energy sector agreement was signed by the NDC, and to be able to renegotiate, it cost government about 17 billion Ghana cedi. COVID expenditure amount to some 25 billion Ghana cedi. And now Russia-Ukraine war have actually hit us. We are going to IMF at a point that COVID has affected every economy. We are going to IMF at a point that Ukraine-Russian war have affected every economy. But that was not the case during the NDC time when they were going for the IMF. There was no global crisis at all. So that is the distinction we should be able to know. So I don't think that the finance minister should resign because he has been able to take us off IMF. He has been able to roll out all the beautiful policies. And our first time, that has to do with free senior high school, that has to do with planting for food and jobs, one village, one dam, one constituency, one ambulance, and all that. And then yet the economic outlook was good. So when we have been hit by a pandemic, it is not good for us to say that he should resign. It's the president who has appointed him to be the minister responsible for finance. When the president thinks that he cannot perform that function again, the president will do the needful. But at the moment, I think that the finance minister have done a very beautiful job for Ghana.
Thank you very much. The Deputy Majority Chief Whip, Honorable Habib Idris, summing up our reactions from members of Parliament as we await the arrival of the Honorable Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta to deliver the 2022 mid-year budget review presentation. Back to you in the studios of Metro TV.
Well, so we will be doing a lot more of these analyses in a few minutes' time, because we're going to have a special extensive version of Newsbeat. Pretty surely, my colleague Maura Audu is standing by. Winston Taki is also standing by to join in the studio with guest, economic analysts to also join us to do some more discussion on what to be expected from the finance minister and maybe after as well. Meanwhile, spare parts dealers at Abosokai have called on government to reduce the benchmark value. Now, they argue this will improve their businesses. How has this call been received by government as the finance minister gets ready to present the 2022 mid-year budget review? My colleague Elvis Ando visited the spare parts dealers arena for this conversation.
And you check Temabo, you got me business near Temabo, $1 near Tisua. I let my Medumano Akosuye. I said to me, it is Animan Sudia. I said, Edumanu Sruaneko.
So he is saying that he would wish that the dollar rate would be looked at so that the CD can match up with the dollar. And also, let me find out from this man as well. Osha, the same question maybe say Wunyano. Then a bit me buying ebeye aboa or ya ebema wo han.
Me say buying advices na I hope say advices no omo kasana aban ebi won mo abetimi da yedmo amana yi. See a dollar rate akosoro a whole lot. What you say? Until at least young Google no makra mayen na nsu entumi we budget. I hope say no budget ever kind or money papa billion free mumba. That's all I can see.
Okay, so he is saying that there is too much hardship in the country, and he would wish that the government will look at better ways in resolving issues about inflation and also astronomical increase of prices in the country.
Duties in the fleet no I know too much. I too be you know kakira bi kura no a boy say oton so $1 na
obedo obo nso de obefa no so so ntumi nya dai emfa anti quantity duties no so ene ye freight na anodin.
So his expectation ahead of the mid-year budget review is that the government would at least look at some reductions of taxes on their imports.
On titi niema so to say duties no any bosh no be hye no only so non titi niema so mayen.
Okay, so all these people are saying that government should look at how best he could manage the taxes, especially on import duties. And these are the comments coming in from dealers of spare parts in Abosokai. Reporting for Metro News, I am Elvis Ando, Accra, Abosokai.
We're bringing you some more business analysis on the situation in the economy. Remember that we have some clinical psychologists also demonstrating, in fact, picketing at this moment as we're talking, and also demanding for postings by government. Let's see how all these issues coming up now will go as the finance minister is expected to be in parliament. Now, my colleague Moro Awudu and Winston Taki is going to be in the studio to start the analysis of the situation, but we're linking back to Abdallah in Parliament as he gives us more feedback from the members of the August House, and then we'll come and continue with the analysis of the economy. So the comments.
This media review is going to be too prone. How government is going to ensure to enhance.
Can you hear us? Go ahead. The finance minister would be here somewhere around 1 p.m. to deliver the 2022 mid-year budget presentation. This particular engagement was supposed to have happened on the 13th of July, but unfortunately, it was shifted to today, the 25th of July, based on the fact that the government officials had to engage the team from the IMF for a possible economic bailout. We are in the House today. Earlier, the Speaker of Parliament was on his seat. he had to suspend the proceedings for about 30 minutes to allow for some members of parliament who hadn't showed up for parliamentary business to come into the chamber even before we received the arrival of the finance minister, Ken Ofori-Atta. But let me quickly bring in my colleague Henry, who was earlier downstairs where we saw some nurses picketing and making certain demands before the leadership of the House. Henry, can you tell me precisely what you gathered?
So at the main entrance of Parliament, where most of the ministers and the MPs will use to enter the floor of the House, is where some of these nurses were. They claim they are part of a group called the Unemployed Nurses Assistant and Preventive, that is Nurses Assistant Clinicals. What they've done is that their portals have been opened for them, and they were some of the nurses who completed the education in the year 2019. They've stayed home for the past 3 years, and they are yet to be employed. They are appealing and demanding that the finance minister try as much as possible to capture them as part of his plans for the media budget to ensure that they are being posted to their various areas to ensure that they start work. I spoke to one of them who precisely told me that they are now struggling. They are being catered for by their parents. Most of them, they claim that they are being catered for by some single parents in their houses or their place of abode, and their Shabbat question for me is that most of these nurses are not nurses who are in Accra, some from the Volta region, others from the Ashanti region, some from the northern region and other parts of the country who have gathered here picketing at the entrance of the House. So that is their demands. They are demanding that the finance minister, perhaps through that is government, or makes an intervention for them to ensure that they are being employed as soon as possible. So that is what they are demanding. As I left them, most of them were still there, raising their placards with inscriptions that they want government to post them now. That is what they had wanted government to do for them.
All right, so let me give you a situational report of what is happening on the floor right now. And Sammy, my cameraman, will just pan around for you to see that we have quite a handful or a number of the MPs in the House. And earlier I did see the newly voted in or sworn in executive members of the MPP who emerged victorious in the recently held national executive elections. I saw the General Secretary, Justin Kodia, the National Chairman of the party, Stephen Ntim Ayensu. I also saw some of the leadership of the National Executive Committee of the MPP, obviously here to support the finance minister and give him that moral support to be able to successfully deliver this all-important statement before the August House of Parliament. I see in the shot over the majority leader, Osechi Mensabun, so it's in your shot over there. I also see some members of the minority side, especially those of the Finance Committee. Honorable Atuforsen, he's actually the ranking member of the Finance Committee of Parliament. Then I also see the Ashaiman MP, Enes Nogbe, who only recently filed a suit challenging payment of some amounts to Sir David Ajayi, who is actually the consultant for the very controversial National Cathedral project. So that is what is happening currently. We are hoping that the finance minister would very soon or shortly join us in this house for this all-important engagement. And you did see in the sound bites we played earlier that the minority side are not so happy about the way this economy has been run over the past 6 or so years by the Nanado-led administration. They are actually demanding that the economic management team should resign, or possibly the president should terminate their appointment, because in their opinion they have badly mismanaged the economy, and the country is currently reeling under economic mismanagement, and for that reason the president has had to intervene and ensure that we go in for this IMF package. We have seen the first leg of discussions from the various stakeholders or from the team that came in from the IMF. We are hoping that there will be a second leg of these meetings for us to eventually go in for this package to as it were, soften, or reduce the burden that has been placed on Ghanaians. But let me come back to my colleague here. Henry, personally, I know you also bought vehicles day in, day out to come to work. You pay electricity bills, you pay water bills. You may be sending remittances to family members across the length and breadth of this country. What are you expecting the finance minister to mention, something that would come down, trickle down to benefit you as an individual or an average middle income earner?
All right. I think I expect the finance minister to do 4 things. The first thing is to give us an update of where we are in relation to government's move to, that is, seek a bailout from the IMF. The second one is to give us a briefing or some of the plans that government is putting in place to ensure the hastened recovery of the economy. The third thing I'm looking at the government does is to give us some updates. If it is something that will help cushion the ordinary Ghanaian like myself in areas of that is the skyrocketing prices of goods and services, the prices of food, the prices of that is fuel. That is very topical because we've seen hikes in transport fares. So those are some of the things that I expect.
Consequential effects on your package.
Yes, it has, consequential effects on our pocket. But as I speak to you now, you saw us rise. The Speaker of Parliament, in a person of Alban Sumana Kingsford Barbin, is in a seat and is currently, that is there, he's ready to deliver. We are yet to, that is, set on our eyes on the Finance Minister. We don't know if he's in the house, but we are expecting that he's here because most of the members of Parliament are here and are seated, and we can listen to the Speaker of Parliament address. That is
okay. So we'll go to the Speaker now.
For finance. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, so we'll start with 6A, Roman numbers 1 and 2. And Deputy Finance Minister is there. So you may indulge her to present the paper on behalf of the substantive member.
Yes, any...
Speaker, it's only a presentation of papers, so they are fine.
By the Deputy Minister for Finance, on behalf of the Minister for Finance. 6A, Roman 1.
Request for waiver on import duty, import VAT, gas fund levy, NHIL, EXIM levy, and domestic VAT amounting to the Ghana cedi equivalent of 6,389,428 United States dollars on materials and equipment to be secured for the development of the Meridian Hotel by 4MAC Limited.
Honorable members, the paper has been laid accordingly and is referred to the Committee on Finance. Number 6A, Roman 2.
Request for waiver of import duties, import VAT, NHIL, gas fund levy, EXIM levy, and special imports levy, and COVID-19 levy amounting to Ghana cedi equivalent of 252,755 euros on materials and equipment to be procured for the rehabilitation and equipping of La General Hospital in Accra by Messrs. Polychengda Overseas Engineering Company Limited of China.
Honorable members, the paper is also laid accordingly and referred to the Committee on Finance for consideration and report to the House. Number 6B, by the Chairman of the Committee, Roman 1. Yes,
Speaker, my information is that the committee has exhausted the consideration of those items listed under B. So we stand the B down until there is a congruence of opinion on that, and then we may come back to that. In the meantime, the Speaker, we could go to item listed as 7, page 5.
Honorable members, the application before us is for us to go to item 7, which is presentation and first reading of bills. Item, yes.
Mr. Speaker, rightly so. Item 6B, the report of the committee is not ready, so I agree that we can jump to the presentation and first reading of bills. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Well, there's no problem. There are other reports. I don't know whether they are also not ready, like the one on roads and transport, and the one on employment, social welfare, and state enterprises. There are 2 reports, actually. Yes, Majority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the C is the commercial contract agreement, and the Committee on Finance should finish with their own consideration before we submit their reports. That is why we have to stamp that one down. Speaker, the other one, D, the Honorable Dr. Kwabena Donko had some discussions with me. I don't know where they are with the reports. If the reports are ready, then they could be late.
Majority Leader, I thought the C was from the Committee on Roads and Transport. The Finance Committee might have looked at it, but the report is coming from the Committee on Roads and Transport, which is a contract agreement. They might have looked at it, but the Committee on Roads and Transport are to present the report.
Mr. Speaker, that is why I'm saying that the loan agreement, they must finish with it first before the Committee on Roads and Transport could also consider this. It's been referred to them, though, but they have to wait until the report, the agreement is authenticated by the Finance Committee before they work on that.
What about E? Committee of Privileges.
The D, the chairman is unavailable, and the ranking member who spoke to me. The E, the chairman is here, so he could do the.
Is he ready? Yes, so we can go ahead to lay that report. That is item 6E at page 5 of the order paper.
Report of the Committee of Privileges on the alleged breach of Article 97(1)(c) of the 1992 Constitution and Order 16(1) of the Standing Orders of Parliament by 3 honorable members of Parliament during the first meeting of the second session of the 8th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana.
Honorable members, the report has been laid accordingly and is for distribution to all members of Parliament. Now we move to item 7, presentation and first reading of bills. 7A, National Vaccine Institute Bill 2022. Minister for Health.
Mr. Speaker, the Deputy Minister for Health is here, so she could also present the paper on behalf of the Minister.
Honorable Deputy Minister, you can go ahead, unless you have, yes.
Mr. Speaker, I was with the Minister for Health in your office, and today is a very busy day. We've allowed the Deputy Minister to do other way. If you continue today being the budget day, the ministers myself them must be here to be laying those documents. Mr. Speaker, today being a special day, nobody should be giving any excuse. He was here this morning. If he's not ready, we can go and do other business. When he comes, then he lays the paper.
The Speaker, at this stage, we are not dealing with a second reading of the bill. It's just presenting the bill to the House, which should come from the ministry. The minister himself was with us, but he has just exited. I'm informed that he's using the washroom. And because of that, the House should be held in abeyance. I'm not sure that is the way to proceed.
Yes, please.
Mr. Speaker, this is our own. The Minister for Health, when he was called upon to go and present document at the court, he went. If he must go and present document here, he must come. This is what I mean. We must take the work of Parliament serious. When a High Court calls you, go there and go and lay documents. Come and lay documents in Parliament. That one too, you are saying that your deputy must lay that. So, Speaker, we must let ministers take this house very serious, just as they take other High Court serious.
Yeah.
Yes, Majority
Leader. I honestly don't think that we should be splitting heads. We should be splitting heads over this. and the shouting battle that my colleague wants to encourage in the House, I decline that offer to engage him in a shouting match. I decline that offer. The minister will join us if we have to stand it down. The Speaker, the second one is the Grains Development Authority bill. The minister was here to do that. Unfortunately, because we had to suspend sitting.
Already ordinary Ghanaians are complaining. Even Ghanaian produce is on the high. Let alone the one that's being imported with this current rate of 8 point something to get to the city. $1, 8 point something. And so I can tell you, it's not going to be a palatable story if the government take it off. And I can tell you, the 2022 media budget review, from us, from the port community, we do not want to see any layer of tax component again. This mid-year budget review that's coming on 22nd, if the government goes ahead to introduce any additional, if you go to the port today, people are sitting on the trees. They have no job. Import has dropped in this country. That is the reality. And so people, agents are there, they have no job to be done. If the government goes ahead to introduce anything, they will meet us at the port.
This this media review is going to be too prone. How government is going to ensure to enhance on revenue collection, and how government will also seek to reduce expenditure. I think these are the two prone areas government going to look. But when it comes to the enhancement of the revenue, I think the tax exemption policy is about time that we let it go. We have to revise it and then let it go, because it's not putting any benefit on this, and then it's leaking a whole lot of revenue of state, because there's a lot of discretion there and is subjected to abuse. And then the people who who benefit the tax exemption scheme are the actual people who are capable of paying tax, the multinationals and all that. And so there's no need for us to continue on that direction, especially at this time that we need resources to develop our country. And then I'm also thinking that the road tolls should also be looked into, and that is an area that is also going to help us have some revenue. And so if we have to modernize it so that we change the mode of collection, then of course it can be even electronic, and then we can still have the same.
7C. 7C. Yes. Today, the correct I will reply to the way to see that they will stay action on these values and so the discussion that we have together with the minority to send the state of the house on these discussions and then move forward. So, to respect it, I would urge that maybe we stand this down and in the meantime, the Minister for Agriculture is here, so that we can do the 17. Yes, my Lord is here.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm surprised at the comment of the majority leader. Mr. Speaker, we have grant for